southern Afghanistan. Here, U.S. Army Green Berets hunt and are hunted by an elusive enemy.
Any guys out here? There's about 12.
These Americans fight a complex war that began on 9/11 and is still being waged today. Given unprecedented access, our National Geographic Channel film crew heads into combat with a special ops team and witnesses firsthand the true cost of war.
An American Special Forces chopper departs the U.S. Air Base in Kandahar, southern Afghanistan. On board is a National Geographic Channel film crew. We've traveled the world, but have never covered an active war zone until now. Our destination? A remote Green Beret outpost located in territory still largely under Taliban control. Getting access to the Special Forces camp has taken us more than a year. The Pentagon normally limits media embeds with the Green Berets to 48 hours. We will be given 10 days and hope to capture an intimate portrait of what it's like to live, fight, and survive in a special ops outpost on the front lines. What no one aboard realizes is that our embed will be cut short, brought to an abrupt end on a distant Afghan ridge. As we headed out to the firebase on the Special Forces chopper, none of us could imagine that we ourselves would become part of the story before the trip was over. But the way events unfolded, everything changed. After 2 hours, our home for the coming days finally comes into view. This is Firebase Cobra. Surrounded by thick mud walls and barbed wire, this modern-day Fort Apache is manned by a handful of American Green Berets. Afghanistan is about 1.5 times larger than Iraq. 100 miles north of Kandahar lie Orazgan Province, Firebase Cobra, and our small team of Green Berets. Their job? To pacify over 100 villages in a remote river valley about the size of Rhode Island.
Hey, this firebase area is Firebase Cobra, south central Afghanistan. If you like getting shot at, it's a fine place to be. If you don't, it's not a fun place to be.
Cobra's Green Berets have been here 2 months, with 6 more to go. Many are on their second and third tours here.
We've been up here 2 months and been in 11 gunfights and killed almost 200 people. Taliban. Not people, just Taliban.
You find over there if you can, tie it up. Use, I think we got 60-13 rods.
At 40, Cobra's lead sergeant Sam is the oldest guy here. Like all the Green Berets depicted in this film, we cannot disclose his real name.
My job up here is to get my guys home one piece and still do my job out here.
So you've done a pretty good job protecting them so far.
Well, I ain't had none of them get a Purple Heart yet. That's the enemy marksmanship badge, by the way. So.
Well-versed in the art of killing, Green Berets also embrace unconventional war theory, where winning the hearts and minds of locals is more critical than destroying the enemy. Trained to live off the land and understand local culture, the Special Ops soldiers of Cobra have been taught to value ingenuity and their own minds above any other weapon. In charge of them all is Captain Rob, a 30-year-old University of Texas graduate and father of 2.
There's so many complexities out here that we have to deal with.
More than anyone, Rob understands the unique duality of the Green Beret mission: kill the Taliban and win the hearts and minds of locals who are themselves often impossible to distinguish from the enemy.
You really have to look at it as both chasing bad guys and going out and helping the good people. Those two things, and combining that strategy, is what's given us the ability to really expand our footprint out here.
Cobra's men prepare for another day-long mission outside the wire. Today, it's a hearts and minds operation that could quickly turn violent.
I'll see you when you get back.
We'll be back.
How long is it going to take?
Well, I'm hoping only a couple hours. You know, we're gonna...
How about a lifetime, bro?
Well, they're all a lifetime. I mean, they're all a lifetime.
The moment we pull out, Taliban spotters in the surrounding hills report our every move via handheld radio.
Every time we leave the front gate, we know that there's a sophisticated early warning network in all directions. We'll roll out and we'll hear the chatter saying there's 15 Americans coming, or there's 3 American gun trucks. They call us tanks. They call them tanks. There's 3 tanks coming.
Today's destination is the village of Regak, site of a recent firefight with the Taliban that took numerous enemy and perhaps civilian lives as well. This morning, they're going back to Regak to mend relationships in the wake of the firefight and learn whether the Taliban are still there.
But we're going to go out to Regak. Typically, that checkpoint out there gets attacked by Taliban, and so we've had to go out there a few times, and we've gotten into a few fights. As long as we can show the people that we're not there to hurt them, then they realize that we're there to help them. As long as they're good to us, we'll be good to them.
But just getting to Regak is a potentially deadly undertaking. In southern Afghanistan, the Taliban's use of IEDs, or improvised explosive devices, is on the rise.
The biggest threat that we have when we're driving on a road is an IED. As much as we can, we try and stay off the roads, though. Yeah, right there is done.
Like many IED strikes, this one was captured on tape by American GIs. With methods refined and imported from Iraq, Taliban IED strikes have more than doubled in the past year.
I'm let dumb, dude, I tell you what. Shit! Oh, my ear! We need to get the out of here! Back this shit up!
And now take more U.S. and NATO lives in Afghanistan than any other tactic.
Get out, baby, get out. Stay down, buddy.
To avoid IEDs, the Americans try to never take the same path twice. Today, it will take more than an hour to cover the 4 rugged miles between Cobra and Regak. When we do arrive, the village is a ghost town.
Have you seen any people out here yet? I haven't.
An empty village is a bad sign. Cautiously, the team fans out looking for villagers. And always checking for IEDs.
And I know there's some kids that are over in this field over here. And
There were kids back in the main village as soon as we crossed the river.
Yeah.
There were a couple of kids back up in there, but
So if they're not coming out, they're probably hiding from us. Now we'll make an announcement on the radio, tell them that, hey, we got some stuff for you. We want you to come out. We just want to talk with you.
اعلان به دغه کلیوال څخه خواهش ده تر څو خپل کورو څخه راووځي تر څو دغه مرسته ترلاسه کړي ستاسو نه خواهش ده چې دغه مرسته به وي دا د افغاني لوبیا او وریجې به وي اعلان به دغه کلیوال څخه خواهش ده.
The Green Berets tell us this is a bad place to linger, and it's easy to see why. The corn is still up, and the ridges around Regak are steep.
That means that somebody's watching us. My guess
Cobra's last captain lost an arm from an RPG fired down on them from one of the hilltops here.
I don't want to say more than like 10, 15 minutes. If after 15 minutes we don't see anybody, then we'll take off. See them. It's no wonder it's impossible to catch anybody.
After almost 20 minutes, villagers begin to come out into the open. Many of them. Whether they were frightened of the Americans or being held back by Taliban fighters is unclear.
Normally when we pass out humanitarian assistance, we're not the ones passing it out. It's from the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, the country, and so we always put an Afghani face on it. We're empowering them as showing that their country is bringing itself up, and that way we're working ourselves out of a job. That's the whole point.
Nothing Special Forces do is by chance. The team hands out prayer rugs, shoes, and hand crank radios tuned to the team's own pro-government radio station.
These are solar, hand crank, and battery-powered radios, so they can always listen to the radio station that we help operate for the district.
We know that these people are relatively scared of us because the last few times that we've been in this area, we've been in fights. So they're being a little bit more obedient than other places we go to.
The Green Berets use their time here to collect information from tribal elders. The Taliban will kill anyone who speaks with or interprets for the Americans, and we've blurred the faces of anyone deemed at risk. Even so, it's almost certain that some of these men are Taliban spies. The ability to detect them is also a Green Beret specialty.
What we think is probably happening is that Taliban are actually sending some of these folks to come check out what's going on with us.
Yeah. No, he's not really.
For instance, that old man with the white beard that just showed up, you could tell he's obviously scared and nervous, so that's why we're going to talk with him for a few minutes. One thing that they'll do is they will come with a bunch of children because they know that we won't hurt the children intentionally.
40 minutes into our stay, the Americans spot a Taliban observer targeting the riverbank. Enemy RPG and sniper teams are active here and can kill from more than 9 football fields away.
How far up is he? He's somewhere in this compound here.
Hey, Matt, Joe.
It's not unusual for him to act like a goat herder.
Did you see him or hear him first?
Hear him.
Heard him on the radio?
Before they can get a fix on him,
hey, Josh, we're
the
just gonna go.
suspected spotter vanishes from sight. There is a constant sense of being watched here. After his IED takes out an American Humvee, this Taliban guerrilla felt safe enough to linger and film the medevac chopper as it is loaded with those wounded or killed. Back in Regac, the presence of spotters and skittish locals makes it clear that the Green Beret mission to take back this region is far from accomplished. Nine hours after leaving Firebase Cobra, the team returns home. Soon after their return, an event unfolds that could have historic impact on this valley. Without warning, tribal elders from numerous Taliban-controlled villages have converged on Cobra. For years, these men have refused to even talk with the Americans, until now.
Since we've been out today, village elders from really the most hostile area that we've encountered around here out to the west, Taliban is constantly threatening these people, and I think these people have just had enough, and so they're looking for our help.
Many of these men set out on foot a day ago to make the long walk to Cobra. And in almost every village they represent, the Green Berets have come under sustained Taliban gunfire.
We've been asking these people to come talk to us for the longest time now, and it's kind of remarkable that they've all just come at once. So we'll see what it is they're actually here for.
یا اصل ته په پام سره باید ووایو چې موږ جمهوریت ریاست او پارلمان ته خپل شریفه او سپېڅلې رایه ورکړه.
He's saying that we give oath to our government.
اوس په سیمه کې او حتی ونړۍ ته یو عمده مشکل دی د دې مشکلاتو مخنیوی هم د بې ګناه ولس کار نه دی.
He's saying the Taliban is a big problem and big difficulty for our world that we can't solve.
All here remember the repressive regime that once staged public executions for offenses like adultery and homosexuality. But since 9/11, thousands more Afghan civilians have died, and every man at this gathering has likely lost friends or family in Taliban American gunfights. These elders have come to Cobra for help in ousting the Taliban and are tired of their villages being used as battlegrounds between the Taliban and Green Berets.
If the Taliban commanders in their area knew that they were here, their life and their whole family's lives are at risk at this point.
او موږ د ژوندي پاتې کېدو حق لرو او که نه سوال مو وکړو.
It's a question that what you guys like, us to be alive or to be dead?
Absolutely, we want you to be alive.
ژوند.
موږ انسانان یو.
We are human.
موږ تباهي او بمباري نه غواړو.
We don't like bombs anymore in our villages.
نه مرګ او تباهي.
We don't like see any more dead bodies.
They're in a tough position. They're in a position between the Americans who are chasing the Taliban and the Taliban who are forcing the locals to work with them. And when the locals work with the Taliban, then people get hurt because they fire at us from their compounds, they mine us on their roads, and we have no choice but to defend ourselves.
That's a letter from everybody from Kishe, but he speaks for everybody. Yeah.
For them to come here and say, we have a Taliban problem, is a huge step. They've made a great paradigm shift.
With thousands of lives and the allegiance of numerous villages at stake, this 30-year-old Texan chooses his next words carefully.
First, let me say thank you very much for coming all this way and coming here to our compound to talk to us. That we need peace and we need security in this entire region. We don't want to have to fight with anybody out here. And the only reason we fight is because the Taliban attacks us. And I know that you don't have the weapons to fight against them.
With this, Rob touches on the most fundamental question of the meeting.
We want to bring the schools.
How can a handful of Americans guarantee security across a region the size of Rhode Island?
You've taken the first step to coming together, and you've taken the first step to rising up against the Taliban.
We are not able to bring security to push the Taliban from our village.
But I think that you are, just like the people here in O'Shea have done that.
The elders counter, arguing that O'Shea village lies in the shadow of Cobra, while some of their villages are several days' drive away.
Tell you what you do have right now, you have numbers, all right? You got numbers. Look at everybody standing here. You represent other people back in your villages.
The meeting leaves much unresolved, but is a step in building trust in a land where trust is hard to come by. And nowhere is trust building more critical than with the local Afghan National Army, or ANA, soldiers who live with and are trained by American Special Forces. If Afghans themselves cannot take over the job of ousting the Taliban, then the American effort in Afghanistan is sure to fail.
Thank you for sharing.
Last year when I was up here, our main ASF commander, he is actually playing both sides of the fence. We do believe that he was instrumental in having 4 guys killed by an IED. So they can bite you. You're not gonna put your full trust in the guys, but we'll trust them as much as we can.
We'll get started with the mission brief for tomorrow. We actually may hit checkpoint 3 just a little bit sooner.
At the end of a long day, Captain Rob briefs his men on tomorrow's mission outside the wire.
Patrol of our immediate area. We'll leave tomorrow morning at 7:30.
This small band of brothers lives, eats, and sleeps in extremely close quarters for 6 and 9 month stretches at a time.
Where we're at is in the middle of the desert, literally. We can set our differences aside if there are any pretty early, and we learn to get along with each other.
I've been in SF for 15 years and never been on a team this tight. We take care of ourselves. See a guy down, we pick him back up.
Later that night, it's a typical firebase evening, 7,000 miles from home. Guys send emails to wives. In the TV room, they catch the same program that's been playing on Armed Forces television all week long. And next door in Cobra's gym, Brad, or Ox as the guys call him, pumps iron and gets rid of excess stress.
Out here, you do your job during the day, then there's nothing to do at night. So it gives you something to do at night.
Throughout the night, Cobra's 105 howitzers pound away and shake us in our cots, firing at Taliban targets somewhere beyond the dark horizon. Daybreak at Cobra. Today, the team will push deep into Taliban-held territory. Their destination? 2 of the hostile villages represented in yesterday's tribal elder meeting. The Americans plan to test the resolve of the Afghan elders who came to Cobra seeking help. They will hold a medical clinic at the first village and spend the coming night on a hilltop near the second to catch or kill enemy fighters moving weapons along a known Taliban supply route.
Where we're going to go today, there's a big chance of IEDs. We heard it from some different individuals that there's IEDs all over the place, and we're going there. So if we get blowed up, we get blowed up. We don't, we don't.
Before they leave, Cobra's demolition or demo experts deal with an improvised explosive device discovered before it went off. This one was handed in by locals for the $100 bounty the Green Berets offer anyone turning in an IED.
Have you ever been out on the road when one of those things went off?
No, I haven't. I think this is the warhead itself. This is the rocket propellant. What they've done is made a homemade cap on the bottom of the rocket. It had a wire coming off here and a wire coming off here, which connected to your battery pack down here. And that's how the system was brought into us. And I think it was made to put in the road and actually get us.
As we film the explosion, none of us realize that a similar device will soon change our lives forever. Morning at Green Beret Firebase Cobra. As we set out through the gates, it's impossible to know that many of us will never see Cobra again. A 2-hour bone-rattling drive through dust and heat brings us to the first Afghan village, Sarsina, site of a recent firefight with the Taliban.
Recently, we got into a fight, basically right here where we're standing. We came back after the firefight a couple days later and made contact with the people. We told them the next time we come, we're bringing our doctors and we're bringing supplies and that we want to help.
The convoy splits into 2 groups. One, led by Rob, heads down into the village. The other group, led by Sam, secures the high ground above the village.
My team's come up here and dominated the terrain to the north, which is higher ground. We can see all the way down into the town. We can control the town.
Anything green marks a possible ambush position. Taliban guerrillas used this very stretch of River Valley to strike from cover and escape down an irrigation ditch during the team's last tour here. One of Cobra's sergeants bled to death from a sniper round in the neck. Atop a nearby hill, Team Truck Number 3 monitors a stream of Taliban walkie-talkie chatter.
We received some traffic as we were coming up here. Some Taliban were talking. They were saying, let's get out of here, the Americans are coming.
We were never allowed to film the classified listening gear inside any of the trucks, but that's interpreter Fatah Karimi in the backseat with the white sneakers. The guys call him Tony. Special Forces linguist Staff Sergeant Q. Che is sitting just out of sight to his right. The two perform an unseen job critical to the cat and mouse game of listening and looking that goes on here.
So all we're doing is look for indicators of bad guys, our concentration of folks that we need to take particular attention to. If women and children are taking off, getting out of here, that's an indicator to us that something's probably going to happen.
But down in the village, there are plenty of kids around. And today they seem happy to see the American soldiers. But according to one Green Beret, the team's visit here could bring Taliban reprisals to anyone who seeks treatment.
They'll come into these villages and they'll kill anybody that the Americans touch, treat it, talk to, just like the Vietnamese used to a long time ago. And they've got that and that's the only hold they've got is this whole terror thing.
The Taliban are making a comeback in southern Afghanistan. In many villages under their control, they are again outlawing television, music, lipstick, and killing anyone working for Western agencies. For now, the relaxed atmosphere indicates that it's safe to start the clinic.
Are you sick? I know you are. Okay. Kashin. Here, Peter, pour out some Tylenol. The biggest thing with these guys is that their whole lifestyle is, they squat for a living. They don't drink enough water. Their diet is short of major minerals and vitamins, etc., that Americans tend to take for granted. Oh, wait, let me see the other one. And so treating these guys, unfortunately, we have to treat them symptomatically for the most part, and then just tell them keep coming back, and then implement an educational program. This boy's got a little bit of Down syndrome going on. But, so he's a little bit developmentally disabled, but not too bad. He's not too much. But he's got some amalkizi, he's got some diarrhea, which is so common around here. Everybody gets it. Oh, you want some? Okay, ready? No. Yeah. Okay. You're gonna eat my stethoscope, huh?
Joe left a multi-million-dollar Chicago software firm after 9/11 to join Special Forces and become a medic. He's also a member of Cobra's Bible study group.
So some of them do well, and some of them just kind of...
How do you make it compatible? You're like a healer, but you're a killer in a way. You know what I mean? That's it.
I tell my kids that, Daddy kills the bad guys, and we heal the good guys. I'm a sniper by trade. That's how I started. And you just have to justify to yourself, hey, he's bad. He's going to kill one of us. He's going to kill one of them.
2 hours and more than 20 patients later, we leave Sarsina behind and head deeper into enemy territory. The team and the Afghan soldiers they lead plan to spend the night on a distant ridgetop, using night vision gear to observe a known Taliban supply route. Unless they stop the weapons flowing into this valley, it will never be secure. Guys call the stretch ahead IED Alley.
I'll fight anybody all day long. I don't care. I'll fight 100 of them guys, no problem. But IEDs, don't want to have nothing to do with them damn things. It's a coward's way to fight.
Cowardly or not, IEDs are incredibly effective and enable enemy fighters to kill Americans with little risk to themselves. Recently, as this Al Qaeda propaganda video shows, a more radical kind of IED has been imported into Afghanistan from the killing fields of Iraq.
أهلي وأحبتي فأقول لهم الملتقى الجنة إن شاء الله.
One of his comrades films as this man, apparently from Yemen, sets out to martyr himself against an American convoy not far from Cobra.
ما شعرت مثل هذا الراحة أبدا يعني أو أي شيء خطأ كذا وكل بنعرف نتخطأ إن شاء الله وإن شاء الله الملتقى الجنة بإذن الله.
شفت الأمريكان أمامك أنا واضحين شفتهم؟
From a safe distance, his accomplice directs the bomber straight into the American convoy.
أنت أمشي قليل قليل وتشوفهم قدامك. الله يتقبلك يا أبو محمد من الشهداء، تقبلك الله من الشهداء يا أبو محمد. وهذا أخوكم أبو محمد الصنعاني قد أدخل في الأمريكان والمرتدين. أسأل الله العظيم يتقبل منا ومنه أمه قبحكم الله وإن شاء الله سنكون بكم وسننصر الطالبان حتى الموت والعزة لله ولرسوله وللمؤمنين.
Suicide car bombers like this are striking with increasing frequency in Afghanistan and offer a frightening glimpse into the depth of enemy resolve here. Today, the team travels to their ridgetop destination on the lookout for enemy vehicles and, as always, for signs of IEDs. It was on this same dry riverbed that the Green Berets lost 4 men to an explosion earlier this year. Just 2 miles out of Sarsina, enemy radio traffic intensifies. The Taliban are clearly stalking us and maybe setting a trap. Moments later, the Americans see a man they think is the Taliban radio spotter they've been listening to for the past half hour.
12 o'clock, as my truck is facing, is the guys of interest that we're looking at who might be talking on ICON.
They're talking about us. They said they left. They know exactly where we are.
Radio traffic suggests the Taliban spotter is now watching us from a nearby compound.
Past the alleyway, under a tree, there's a guy sitting down there. He's wearing a brown jammies. You hear I come, he's putting his hand in his mouth. You can kind of see the antenna. There's 3 guys in there.
Rob decides to send a squad to capture the spotter and search the nearby farm for bomb-making materials. It is a known Taliban compound, and Rob makes clear that if this is a trap, the team's gun trucks can provide no cover once the Americans go inside.
Hey, just watch out, because you got dismounts over here with Hal, and I'm not going to be able to cover you once you go up there.
All right.
What's going on?
We may have actually spotted one of the guys that's talking on the ICOM. That's what we're going to check out right now. It's going to get dark here real quick, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Can we head out there with any of those guys?
Yeah, if you want to. Why don't you walk with Matt and the interpreter over here?
Okay.
Out in the cornfield, they round up all military-age men in sight.
No, bring him. Okay.
This is the man they suspect of relaying their movements and number by radio. He may be a rare glimpse of their horde, of one of the Taliban fighters they face but barely see.
Taliban vehicle, where are they?
Despite his denials, bomb-making materials were found just outside this compound 2 weeks ago. the Americans decide they have no choice but to breach the front door.
I'm behind you guys.
Inside, we quickly lose sight of half the squad. The compound is a confusing jumble of courtyards, doors, and rooms. And we're soon just as scared of being killed by friendly fire as by the Taliban.
Coming out!
We emerge behind the building.
Many guys out here.
4 guys.
No, there's more than 4. There's about 12.
Far from the safety of the gun trucks, we find ourselves face to face with a dozen Afghan men who stand their ground and stare back at us from across the field with clear disdain.
Tim, what are we looking at here? Hold on.
We're looking at a bunch of guys just hanging out like they're doing nothing, like they've been doing it all day. 2 weeks ago, we found an IED just right outside this compound here. These people usually don't go very far from home. You know, they work right around their house, which is kind of odd.
At the front of the compound, with his interrogation complete, the alleged spotter is taken into custody. Taliban commanders now claim some 12,000 fighters in southern Afghanistan. Is this one of their hardcore religious fanatics? Or is he just disaffected, fighting to oust foreigners? Fighting because the Taliban pay him to fight, or fighting because the Americans somehow enraged him? We will likely never know for sure.
That guy there was talking on the radio, but he ditched the radio before we got there. We don't have anything to keep him on, but as long as he's secure, he can't fight us when we leave. We'll probably never see him again unless he's shooting at us. He's just an observer.
He's one of the spotters we can hear.
Spotters. All right, arigato. We're ready. No, leave him here. Yes. Ready, Joe?
The angry encounter has yielded little, and the Americans have lost precious time if they are to make their ridgetop campsite before nightfall, less than an hour away. Minutes later, the Americans pass through village number 2, also represented by one of the tribal elders who came to Cobra the day before. A firefight here 2 weeks ago killed some 30 Taliban, and perhaps a number of innocent civilians as well. We drive past buildings destroyed when the Green Berets called in precision airstrikes with 1,000-pound bombs. Then, as light fades, the convoy comes to an unexpected stop. Taliban radio chatter has resumed, and it's clear we are still being watched.
Have they spotted us?
Yeah, there are some people over there, somewhere here. They're looking on us, so where they're going, where they stay.
Do you think they're setting an ambush?
No, I don't think so.
What's going on here?
What they're doing is checking out the place where we're going to be spending the night at, clearing it with the mine detector.
Next comes alarming news. Cobra's mine dogs have detected the presence of a possible IED on their ridgetop destination. With darkness falling, we switch over to our night vision lens. IEDs can kill from 3 football fields away. We move down the hill a safe distance as the demolition team prepares to blow up the IED.
But you guys can film it. I was trying to get an angle like right here, so in case there's any type of shrapnel.
Rocks, you can go everywhere, so make yourselves as small as possible.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna...
No, you don't. He's gonna get
Check it out, make sure that there's no residual demo.
It soon becomes evident that there's more than just one IED atop the hill.
After they blew up the first one, it uncovered another one. So they're in the process right now of blowing up the second one. We're gonna sit tight here until the IED blows up. After the IED blows up, then we're gonna go move forward, occupy the hilltop.
Brad and Chris prepare C4 plastic explosive and detonation cord to blow the second IED on the hill.
Thanks, Tony. If you want that momentary? You figured it out, right?
2 IEDs make it clear that someone anticipated the team's arrival here.
I mean, we gotta clear that.
Yeah, no, we got cleared anyways. The crest's got to be cleared anyways. But I mean, I don't care. Right now, they're already up there doing it. We'll continue going what we got going on.
Sam and Rob quickly decide that going back in the dark and through hostile territory is not an option.
Lord knows what I was telling you about.
As the team blows IED number 3, night has fully fallen. We find ourselves blocked on an exposed cliffside road and vulnerable to ambush.
This hill right up here, the bad guys can come from Jagdon, which is right over here. They can scamper up top there with a couple RPGs and pump in my butt side all night long. And I don't like that very much.
IEDs number 4 and 5 are found and blown together.
We were doing one at a time. Now we just set off 2 at a time.
There's not even a road though that goes up there.
No, it's just
open space.
Yeah, it's just open space.
That doesn't make sense. Well, I guess they know that we drive up that way.
Where there are multiple IEDs, ambush is often not far behind.
So this could be an all-night thing. Are we gonna have enough demo?
Yeah, we've got plenty of demo. Would have been f***ed if we'd have pulled up there.
Next comes news we all dreaded to hear.
Have ICOM chatter and special intelligence indicating that they have an ambush ahead of us at this time. Would like to know what is available right now in the air. See if I can send up an immediate over.
Jose, the team's air support specialist, sends a distress call to all NATO aircraft nearby and relays the team's exact position.
215070.
They say that they're set up for us right now in an ambush down there in the village and possibly up here in the ridges.
We've been blocked on the cliffside for over 2 hours now. It's a dangerous and nearly indefensible position.
So what's your advice to us?
You as the camera crew?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta keep filming, of course, but if things get bad, hide towards the back of the truck.
Hey, they're looking for us right now. They don't really know where we're at. And if we can move forward a little bit, we might be able to surprise them.
After a 3-hour delay and 7 IEDs blown, word finally comes down that the ridgetop is clear. Rob's command vehicle, carrying 2 National Geographic Channel filmmakers, is the first to head up the hill. We turn onto a demined path marked with green chem lights. Once atop the hill, we get out to film the next Americans coming up. The night is so dark, even our night vision lens has trouble seeing. Suddenly, truck number 3 is illuminated by the headlights of the Afghan army pickup behind it. A bad move by the Afghans, revealing our position for miles around. As truck number 3 comes up the lane, we film it moving towards us from about 30 feet away. The ID explosion blinds us and knocks our camera out of commission.
I was probably about 15 or 20 meters away from it, and the blast happened and kind of picked me up off my feet.
After the initial shock of the explosion wore off, I remember I just
felt up and down my arms and legs, and I was just terribly surprised that everything was still there.
We looked over, we saw the vehicle on fire. We knew that there were 4 guys in the vehicle.
Once the shock wore off, a guy came up to me yelling, "They're burning, they're burning."
We grabbed one of the Americans that was on fire in the back of the vehicle, and we reached in, and that's how I got these burns here on my arms.
Inside Truck 3, Sergeant Q. Che dies instantly. Interpreter Fatah Karimi is dragged from the wreckage with burns over 90% of his body. In the end, 2 National Geographic Channel filmmakers and 7 Cobra men lie wounded or dead. It is the costliest IED blast to hit Special Forces in 5 years of war. The medevac was just packed full of people, and no one spoke or said a word, really. And I remember then someone saying that they were firing RPGs at our helicopter, the Taliban were.
Ready, aim, hold. Ready, aim, hold. Ready, aim, ready, present, arms.
Back in Kandahar, where our story began, Q's story is just ending. Sergeant Q. H. Che was a 34-year-old father of 2. Just 3 credits shy of a law degree, he died the day before his 6th wedding anniversary. The Rampside Memorial Service is solemn and heartfelt, and provides friends and comrades the chance to pay final respects before Q's long journey home. "30 days later, Fatah Karimi passes away in a German burn center with his newlywed wife at his side. Both men were naturalized U.S. citizens, Americans by choice, who chose to serve on a distant outpost in what is sometimes called a forgotten war. Back at Cobra, the team's own memorial service is brief.
Sergeant Q. Che was killed on our patrol the other night, and I think it's only right that we say goodbye to him our own fitting way. So with that said, right now, just give you guys a few minutes to say a silent prayer to him, then I'll continue on. So. A lot of us knew Q. Majority of us that knew Q, we're glad to call him comrade. I think a lot of us out here, we're glad to be able to call Sergeant Q a friend. Q's job was getting intelligence, giving us intelligence so we can know what's going on in the battlefield, for us to go ahead and stay safe and kick the heck out of the enemy. That's what his job was. I don't think he died for fighting for his country, noble as that. I think he died for a noble cause, which is fighting for every single one of us that's out here.
You know, to a certain extent, I can hold myself responsible for what happened. And I wish I could say that I'm just putting what happened behind me. However, I can tell you that I'm probably just storing it somewhere for later so that when we get back, I can actually finally just let go. But dealing with it is really kind of temporarily putting it behind you and getting back out there and doing what we were doing the other day and continue to do it and continue to do it and continue to do it. Just corral the troops, really, and pull together.
So with that being said, in our tradition, is everybody going to go and raise a toast? Sergeant, Staff Sergeant Q. Che, may God take him into his embrace. He may be gone, but he's not forgotten. Here's to you. You guys continue on the mission then.
Thank you.
At Cobra, there is no time for grief. Tomorrow will bring another journey outside the wire. But for some physical and emotional scars, all the men wounded that night would fully recover. In the months after Q-Che and Fatah Karimi died, Cobra's Green Berets would encounter 30 more IEDs, conduct over 100 combat operations, and suffer 2 additional casualties. The valley remains in conflict.